Turn off them noisy rodents there. Well, they make a lot of noise. Mike's train house reversing car with the two Mickey and Minnie on there. When they hit those bumpers, they hit them hard. That thing's been going for about 10 years. I'm surprised it hasn't fallen to pieces. Okay, I thought I'd blend some old with some new. I haven't shown a lot of Marx lately, and at least not running. And so I thought I'd show some of my latest discoveries. I showed a lot of these still shots of new Marx cars that I picked up. I say new means 1995 95 through maybe 99. And this is a Dime Store Dreams, this little spaceship that I decided would look great on a bright yellow Marx flat, and it really does. Perfect size. And what you saw on the outside was my Marx version of a Dreyfuss set, which of course would have had a lot more wheels on it. Let's turn down there. Make sure the mice are turned off. Got an old Z, and I've got 4 different levers here to move. So in order to turn the power back on, I've also turned the Frosty stand and the newspaper stand off because it makes so much noise. And you'll see this is a lot less wheels than a real Hudson, but it's pretend. It's a actually taken from a originally these were Marx Canadian Pacifics, which you will see a modern Canadian Pacific over here, and you'll see how they dress this one up. This is a very valuable and hard to find set. When I say very valuable, I'll say very valuable for Marx. They go for around $700 to $800. And this was made, I believe, between 1995 and 1998. I have 2 complaints about it. First of all, you should always say something good. It's a beautiful set. Listen how quiet this thing is. But when I first got it, I had derailments up the wazoo. I can say wazoo on YouTube, can I? Put an old rag here. And what the problem was is Marx made these Marx Ameritrains, the Flynn's, made these out of a very light metal, and they just weren't heavy enough to stay on the track, and they derailed a lot. So what I discovered was I put these little flat magnets on the bottoms, which are heavy enough to hold it down to the track. I'm going to take this one off rather than try to re-rail it. The other problem was the tab and slot couplers were not all the same height. And if one was a little higher than the other, and you set the lower one on top of the higher, it would cause a derailment in the trucks. And it drove me nuts for about an hour. And then I remembered what an old HO friend of mine used to do. And he would add fishing weights or weights for tires for his, he cut off pieces of weights for tires, cut them into pieces that his mechanic had given him. Let's move this out of the way. And These I showed you about a week ago. I think they're just cool as heck. Particularly this two, 2000 car, which is the millennial car, which it says Marx Advantage on the left, which I assume was a special member group. And what I should show is I have several other sets of new Marx, and the passenger cars do not derail because they all use the same tooling, and they're quite large and they're quite heavy. And this is from a Southern Pacific Daylight set, and you can just see the difference in the size. Really, really light cars. Get this thing to back up. Can't say enough for the engine. It just runs fine. Beautiful, beautiful set, Dreyfuss set. And I was surprised to get it. I was at a train show in Sacramento. I'm guessing 4 or 5 years ago. And a fellow had this in its original box down here. And I asked him how much he wanted for it. He wanted $400. And I didn't want to pay $400. Not that I knew it wasn't worth it, $400. I do not know what they sold for originally, new. I just didn't have that kind of cash at the time. And there were no ATMs at the show. And I sat down and had my lunch and watched the guy, and they were mostly Lionel sellers there. Mike's Train House, a lot of old K-Line, American Flyer, S and O. And no one was going to this guy's booth because it was all Marx. And so I walked past as I was leaving, and I said, "What's the lowest you would take for this? You would accept?" And he said, $250. So I paid him, and I took the box and I left. Didn't even try out the engine. They did put let me back this up. For those of you who are interested in this, they did have a (242) and a 042 locomotive, and they did have a sound system. They offered a sound system and the tender, and it really wasn't worth it. It's my opinion. It was pretty awful, I thought. So, particularly when you got these old Marks like the one up above, and you got them running, you couldn't even hear the sound system on this if it had one. So up above, I'm running probably about a 1938, 39 work train. This was my first Marx train that I had a automobile on. and you'll see the truck with the dump truck up there. And even though this is a different has the silver and white frame, this is part of the set. I've looked it up, and it also has a silver and white frame caboose. What I did take off was a log car with I had a rubber band around it to make sure the logs stayed tight and the rubber band broke. I couldn't find another rubber band that would fit it. And I just picked this up. Haven't shown it, and it's not focusing quite right. Come on. Sometimes when I look at something else, it just doesn't want to focus on it. It's got a guy inside there. Kind of focusing. It's got a guy inside with a hand truck, and he's moving a box. And I'm sure NAFTA wouldn't approve of that. They want to have him in a helmet and some sort of a safety harness. And on the other side, you can see another fellow moving stuff inside the car. What's interesting about this is, many of you may not notice, is it has a silver frame, and it's actually tin. It's never been painted, and when you see that silver frame, you'll know it's from a clockwork set, and the tab and slot couplers will recess underneath the boxcar. So actually this says refrigerator, so this would be a reefer, but a little bit of information that you might be interested in. So haven't run Marx for a while. I've had a few requests. Been running mostly Lionel, and so thought I would run some Marx, and hope you enjoyed it. And I love the colors. Let me bring this camera down. Of all these new cars I've picked up, pulled by the Canadian Pacifics. So anyway, thanks for watching. And once again, this has been a big Lizard production. And bye-bye.